Lindsay Ann Davenport is a former world #1 American professional tennis player. She has won 3 Grand Slam singles tournaments and an Olympic gold medal in singles. She was ranked world #1 on 8 different occasions. Since 1975, she is one of 4 women who have been the year-end world #1 at least 4 times. The others are Chris Evert, Steffi Graf and Martina Navratilova. In 2005, Tennis magazine ranked her as the 29th best player of the preceding 40 years. Davenport was coached for most of her career by Robert Van't Hof. Davenport was inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame in 2014. Early and personal life: Davenport is the daughter of Van't Davenport, who was a member of the U.S. volleyball team at the 1968 Summer Olympics in Mexico City, and Ann Davenport. She attended both Chadwick School in Palos Verdes Peninsula, California and Murrieta Valley High School in Murrieta, California. Davenport married Morgan Stanley investment banker and former University of Southern California All-American tennis player Jonathan Leach in 2003. Davenport took a break from competitive tennis in late 2006 and much of 2007 to have a baby. On June 10, 2007, she gave birth to a son, Jagger Jonathan, in Newport Beach, California. She gave birth to a daughter, Lauren Andrus, on June 27, 2009 in Newport Beach, California. She currently owns a home in the Irvine, California neighborhood of Shady Canyon and also in Laguna Beach, California. She gave birth to her 3rd child, daughter Ka Emery, on January 16, 2012. The couple's 4th child, Haven Michelle, was born on January 6, 2014. Playing style: Davenport's game is built largely around her ground strokes, including her two-handed backhand and serve, which she hits with excellent placement and at its best was called rock solid. Her lack of court speed and mobility was her greatest weakness until she overhauled her conditioning program and lost 30 pounds beginning in 1995, and became mentally stronger. A 13-time Grand Slam finalist, in doubles, Davenport did not feel comfortable playing at the net in singles until her increased speed allowed her to approach the net and volley more quickly. Career: 1991 to Euro 1993. While Davenport's first play dated back to 1991, she officially became a professional 2 years after her first professional-level matches. Davenport's doubles success in 1993 was a 17 Euro 16 record while she reached a top 100 in doubles rankings. She reached the 3rd round at the 1993 Australian Open doubles competition with Chanda Rubin. Davenport entered the top 20, despite coming into her first tournament that year ranked number 162. She qualified for the 1993 Australian Open, reaching the 3rd round before falling to Mary Pierce. At the Indian Wells Masters, Davenport reached a quarter-finals ranked number 99, but lost to 7th-ranked and future doubles partner Mary Jo Fernandez. Later that year, Davenport won her first Tier 3 title at the European Open where she beat Nicole Bradtken 3 sets in the finals. She reached the 3rd round at the 1993 Wimbledon Championships, and at the 1993 US Open, the American reached the 4th round ranked number 24. 1993 is also notable because it was the one time she faced Martina Navratilova, falling in 3 sets, 6-1 3-6-5-7, in the Oakland semi-finals. 1994, Davenport won the first tournament she entered in Brisbane, Australia. At the Australian Open, she reached her first Grand Slam quarter-final, defeating number 5 Mary Jo Fernandez in the 4th round, before losing in the quarter-finals to top-ranked Steffi Graf. Davenport then reached the semi-finals at Indian Wells, California and Miami and won the title in Lucerne. At Wimbledon, Davenport reached her 2nd Grand Slam quarter-final. Ranked 9th, Davenport defeated 10th-ranked Gabriela Sabatini, before losing to 3rd-ranked Conquita Martinez, who went on to win the tournament. In November, she reached her first WTA Tour Championship final, losing to Sabatini. In doubles, Davenport won Indian Wells with Lisa Raymond and reached a French Open doubles final with Raymond, where they lost to Gigi Fernandez and Natasha Zvereva. Davenport teamed with Arantxa Nchez Vicario to win the title in Oakland, defeating G. Fernandez and Martina Navratilova in the final. 1995, Davenport started the year by reaching the final of the tournament in Sydney, where she lost to Gabriela Sabatini. Davenport again reached the Australian Open quarter-finals and the following week, lost to Kimiko Date in the final of the tournament in Tokyo. On clay, Davenport won the tournament in Strasbourg on her first attempt, defeating Kimiko Date in the final. Date, however, turned the tables at the French Open, defeating Davenport in the fourth round. At Wimbledon, Davenport was upset in the fourth round by Mary Jo Fernandez. At the final Grand Slam tournament of the year, the US Open, Davenport was again upset, this time in the second round by Zina Garrison-Jackson. In doubles, Davenport and Jana Novotná started the year by winning the tournament in Sydney. Davenport and Lisa Raymond then lost in the Australian Open semi-finals to the top-seeded team of G. Fernandez and Natasha Zvereva. Davenport teamed with Nicole Arendt to reach the French Open semi-finals, where they lost to the top-seeded team of Novotná and Arantxa Nchez Vicario. At Wimbledon, Davenport and Raymond, the fourth-seeded team, were upset in the first round. At the US Open, Davenport and Raymond were again the fourth-seeded team and were upset in the third round by 15th-seeded Lori McNeil and Helena Svitolova. In other tournaments, Davenport and Raymond won in Indian Wells, and Davenport and Mary Jo Fernandez won in Tokyo and Strasbourg. 1996, Davenport's year began with a runner-up finish in Sydney. She was a quarter-finalist at the Australian Open. Davenport then reached the semi-finals of the tournament in Indian Wells, California, where she lost to Steffi Graf. On clay, Davenport won the Strasbourg tournament and reached the French Open quarter-finals, losing to Conquita Martinez. During the summer, Davenport won the tournament in Los Angeles, defeating Graf for the first time in her career in the semi-finals, before defeating Ankuba in the final. Davenport then won the gold medal at the Summer Olympics, defeating Mary Jo Fernandez in the semi-final and Arantxa Nchez Vicario in the final. In doubles, Davenport teamed with Mary Jo Fernandez to win the tournament in Sydney, before losing in the final of the Australian Open to Chanda Rubin and Nchez Vicario. Davenport and Fernandez then won the French Open doubles title, defeating G. Fernandez and Natasha Zvereva in the final. The two also won the tournament in Oakland and the year-end Chase Championships together. Davenport partnered with Zvereva to win the tournament in Los Angeles. 1997, Davenport lost in the fourth round of the Australian Open to Kimberly Poe. She then won the tournaments in Oklahoma City and Indian Wells, California for the first time in her career. Davenport began her clay court season by winning the tournament in Amelia Island, Florida. However, she lost to Iva Magliai, the eventual champion, in the fourth round at the French Open, despite being up a set and 4-0 in the second set. At Wimbledon, Davenport lost to Denisa Kladikova in the second round. She then lost to Monica Seles in the final at Los Angeles, after beating top-ranked Martina Hingis in the semi-finals. After winning in Atlanta, Davenport reached her first Grand Slam semi-final at the US Open, losing again to Hingis. Davenport won the titles in Zaire, Quarterich and Chicago, before losing the Philadelphia final to Hingis in a third-set tie-break. In doubles, Davenport was the runner-up in Sydney with Natasha Zvereva and at the Australian Open with Lisa Raymond. She won the US Open with Czech partner Jana Novotná. Davenport's other doubles titles were in Tokyo, Indian Wells, Amelia Island, and Berlin. 1998, Davenport started 1998 by reaching the singles semi-finals of the Australian Open, which was her second consecutive Grand Slam singles semi-final. At the tournament in Tokyo, Davenport, ranked second, defeated Martina Hingis, ranked first, in the final. Davenport then lost in the Indian Wells, California, final to Hingis, after defeating Steffi Graf, and in the Miami, she fell in the quarterfinals to Anna Kournikova. At the French Open, Davenport defeated defending champion Iva Magliai in the quarterfinals, before losing to Arantxa Nchez Vicario in the semi-finals. Davenport won titles in San Diego, Stanford, and Los Angeles. Davenport's next victory on tour was her first Grand Slam singles title at the 1998 US Open, defeating 5th-ranked Venus Williams in the semi-finals and top-ranked Hingis in the final. Davenport then won ZAR 1/4 rich and lost to 17th-ranked Graf in Philadelphia despite attaining the number 1 ranking. Davenport finished the year with a loss to Hingis in the final of the Chase Championships. In doubles, Davenport reached the final of the 1998 Australian Open with Natasha Zvereva, where they lost to the wildcard team of Hingis and Mirjana Luaia. Davenport and Zvereva lost to Hingis and Luaia again in the Tokyo final, and then won both Indian Wells and Berlin, both times defeating Alexandra Fasai and Nathalie Tauziat in the final. Davenport and Zvereva then lost to Hingis and Yana Novotná in the French Open, Wimbledon, and US Open doubles finals. Davenport won San Diego and Stanford with Zvereva and lost in the US Open doubles final. Davenport won Filderstadt, and then the year-end doubles championship with Zvereva, defeating Fasai and Tauziat in 3 sets. In 1998, Davenport reached all 4 Grand Slam doubles finals with Zvereva, losing to teams that included Hingis all 4 times. 1999, Davenport started 1999 by winning the Sydney singles final and reaching the Australian Open singles semi-final, before losing to Arma copyright Lie Morismo. She teamed with Natasha Zvereva to reach the doubles final, before losing to Martina Hingis and Anna Kournikova. At the Toray Pan Pacific Open in Tokyo, Davenport and Zvereva beat Hingis and Yana Novotná, to whom they had lost in 3 of the 4 1998 Grand Slam doubles finals. Davenport's second singles title of the year was at Madrid, where she defeated lucky loser Palos Verdes in the final. At Roland Garros, she reached a quarter-finals, losing to Steffi Graf. Along the way, she defeated qualifier and future 4-time French Open champion Justine Henin in the second round. Davenport's next tournament championship was at Wimbledon. In the final, she defeated Steffi Graf in Graf's last career Grand Slam match. Davenport also won the doubles title at Wimbledon with Karina Mororu, defeating Marion de Swart and Elena Tatakova in the final. After Wimbledon, Davenport won the singles and doubles titles in Stanford and won San Diego in doubles with Mororu over Serena and Venus Williams in the final, the only doubles final the sisters have ever lost in their playing careers. She lost the US Open semi-final to eventual champion Serena Williams. To close the year, Davenport won 2 additional singles and the Chase Championships with a victory over Hingis in the final. 2000, Davenport started the year by winning the Sydney singles final against Arma copyright Lie Morismo. Her next event was the 2000 Australian Open, which she won in singles without the loss of a set. Seeded second, Davenport defeated top-seeded Martina Hingis in the final. She and Karina Mororu lost in the doubles semi-finals to Hingis and Mary Pierce. 2 events later, at the Indian Wells, California tournament, Davenport again defeated Hingis and won the doubles title with Mororu over Anna Kournikova and Natasha Zvereva in the final. Hingis defeated Davenport in the Miami final. At the French Open, Davenport was upset by the 22nd-ranked Dominique Van Roost in 3 sets in the first round. Van Roost again beat her at the Hastings Direct International Championships in Eastbourne. Davenport reached a Wimbledon final, where she was beaten by Venus Williams. Davenport once again lost to Venus in the Stanford final and to Serena Williams in the Los Angeles final. She lost in the US Open final to Venus. After losing to Hingis in the ZAR 1/4 rich final, Davenport won 2 consecutive titles in Linz, defeating Venus Williams, and in Philadelphia. She upset Arantxa Nchez Vicario at the Chase Championships by serving her all love games, then helped the United States win the 2000 Fed Cup over Spain. 2001, Davenport was at least a quarter-finalist in all 17 of her singles events. She won 7 singles titles, with victories in Tokyo, Scottsdale, Eastbourne, Los Angeles, Filderstadt, ZAR 1/4 rich, and Linz. After clinching the year-end number 1 ranking in a semi-final win over Clijsters, she withdrew in the final of the year-end Chase Championships against Serena Williams. She was a quarter-finalist at the Australian Open, a semi-finalist at Wimbledon, and a quarter-finalist at the US Open. She lost in the Australian Open doubles final with Martina Venus and Serena Williams. She teamed with Lisa Raymond to win the doubles titles in Filderstadt and Saar 1/4. 2002, Davenport did not win a singles title in 2002. She missed the Australian Open, French Open, and Wimbledon. She played her first singles event in July, losing in the Stanford semi-finals to Kim Clijsters. Davenport then reached the semi-finals of the TI San Diego tournament, where she lost to Venus Williams. At her next tournament in Los Angeles, she lost in the final to Chanda Rubin. She then lost to Venus in New Haven and to Serena Williams in the US Open semi-finals. She reached 2 more finals during 2002, losing in Moscow to Magdalena Maleeva and in Saar 1/4 to Patti Schneider. At the year-end Chase Championships, Davenport lost to Monica Seles, after holding 7 match points, her third loss to Seles, having a match point opportunity on all 3 occasions. Davenport played her first doubles tournament of the year in Filderstadt in October, where she partnered with Lisa Raymond to win the title. 2003, Davenport started the year by reaching the final of the tournament in Sydney, where she lost to Kim Clijsters. She then reached the 4th round of the Australian Open, where she lost to Justine Henin. Davenport then won in Tokyo and lost in the Indian Wells, California final to Clijsters. At the remaining Grand Slam tournaments of the year, she lost in the French Open 4th round, the Wimbledon quarter-finals, and the US Open semi-finals. She was the runner-up at tournaments in Amelia Island, Florida, Los Angeles, and New Haven. Davenport and Lisa Raymond reached the doubles semi-finals of the Australian Open, where they lost to Serena Williams and Venus Williams. Davenport and Raymond won Indian Wells, defeating Clijsters and Isugiyama. Davenport and Raymond also won in Amelia Island, over Palos Verdes and Virginia Ruano Pascual, and in Eastbourne, over Jennifer Capriati and Marga 1/4 Serna. Davenport and Raymond lost in the Wimbledon semi-finals to Clijsters and Sugiyama. 2004, Davenport won a tour-high 7 titles, including 4 straight during the summer. She also had the most match wins on the WTA Tour, with 63. She finished the year ranked first for the 3rd time in her career. She defeated Venus and Serena Williams for the first time since 2000, which she said instilled belief in her that she could win more Grand Slam tournaments. 2005, Davenport's success continued into 2005, when she reached her first Grand Slam final, at the Australian Open, since the 2000 US Open. She fell to Serena Williams in 3 sets. At the tournament in Indian Wells, California, in March, Davenport made history by defeating world number 3 Maria Sharapova, 6-0, 6-0. It marked the first time that a player ranked in the top 3 had ever been shut out on the WTA Tour and was the first time Sharapova had failed to win a game during a match. This turned out to be Davenport's only career victory against Sharapova. In April, she won the Bausch & Lomb Championships in Amelia Island, Florida for the 3rd time, defeating Silvia Farina Elia in the final. In the quarter-finals of that tournament, Davenport defeated Venus Williams for the 4th consecutive time. Davenport bypassed the European clay court season and went to the French Open without having played a professional competitive match for weeks. She confounded expectations with a run to the quarter-finals on her least favorite surface, including a come-from-behind victory over Kim Clijsters in the 4th round. Davenport lost to eventual runner-up Mary Pierce. At Wimbledon, Davenport was the top seed and made it easily to the 4th round, where she was tested again by Clijsters, but came through in 3 sets to win her 2nd successive match against the Belgian. Davenport then reached the semi-finals, where her match against Arma copyright Lai Mauresmo was interrupted by rain and was completed over the course of 2 days. Davenport eventually defeated Mauresmo and faced 14th-seeded Venus Williams in an All-American final. Davenport led most of the way, as she served for the match at 6-5 in the second set, and had a match point at 5-4 in the third set. Williams went on to win, 4-6, 7-6, 9-7, in the longest Wimbledon final in history. In that match, Davenport sustained a serious back injury while leading 4-2 in the final set, although she acknowledged after the match that the injury did not cause her defeat and that Williams was the superior mentally strong player on the day. The injury forced Davenport to withdraw from Fed Cup competition. She returned to the tour at the Stanford tournament. After re-injuring her back in a warm-up just hours before her match, Davenport retired while trailing 0-5 in the first set. This back injury then forced her to withdraw from other hard-court events in San Diego and Los Angeles. Davenport returned to the WTA Tour in August, winning her comeback tournament in New Haven without dropping a set. Davenport then reached the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open, where she held a match point on Elena Dementieva, before falling in the third set tiebreak. Davenport briefly lost the number 1 ranking following the event. After the loss at the U.S. Open, Davenport captured the title in Bali without dropping a set, and subsequently qualified for the WTA Tour Championships. She then won the title in Filderstadt, defeating Mauresmo in the final for the second consecutive year. The win made her only the 10th woman ever to win 50 career WTA singles titles. In Czar 1 Quarterich, Davenport saved 2 match points while defeating Daniela Hantuchova. The win assured Davenport of recapturing the world number 1 ranking from Sharapova the following week. In the final, Davenport defeated 6th-seeded Patty Schneider for her 4th title in Czar 1 Quarterich and her 6th title of 2005, second only to Klijtis's 9. It was also the first time Davenport had saved match points en route to a victory since the 1999 U.S. Open. The Czar 1 Quarterich title left her with 11 TRI titles, second among active players. Davenport was a semi-finalist at the WTA Tour Year-End Championships, which ensured that she finished the year ranked number 1. 2005 was the 4th time that Davenport ended the year ranked number 1, joining Steffi Graf, Martina Navratilova, and Chris Evert as the only female players to end a year ranked first at least 4 times. In 2005, Tennis Magazine ranked Davenport 29th in its list of the 40 greatest players of the tennis era. 2006, on February 22, 2006, Davenport became just the 8th woman in WTA history to win 700 singles matches, when she handed out her 4th career double bagel, defeating Elena Likovtseva in the second round of the Dubai tournament. At the March tournament in Indian Wells, California, Davenport lost in the 4th round to Martina Hingis. She was then absent from the tour until August because of a back injury. She returned in Los Angeles, losing a second-round match to Samantha Stosa. It was Davenport's earliest exit from a tournament since early 2003. Davenport attributed the loss to her having resumed training only 3 weeks prior to the start of the tournament. Davenport had rehired Adam Peterson as her coach, with whom she worked during her 2004 Euro 05 resurgence. At the tournament in New Haven, Davenport defeated world number 1 armor copyright Lai Mauresmo in the quarter-finals, but was forced to retire with a right shoulder injury while playing Justine Henin in the final. Despite injury, Davenport reached a U.S. Open quarter-finals, where she again lost to Henin. Davenport's last competitive match before the announcement of her pregnancy was a quarter-final loss in Beijing to top-ranked Mauresmo. It was Mauresmo's first win over Davenport after 9 consecutive losses. 2007, on July 18, 2007, Davenport announced that she would return to the WTA Tour. At her first tournament, she partnered with Lisa Raymond in the doubles competition at New Haven, where they lost in the first round to top seeds Cara Black and Liesl Huber. Davenport returned to singles competition in Bali, where she won her first title since 2005, defeating Daniela Hantuchova in the final. En route to the title, Davenport defeated third-ranked Jelena Jankovic, among others. Davenport and her partner Hantuchova also advanced to the semi-finals in Bali, before withdrawing from the tournament. Davenport's second tournament was in Beijing, where she defeated fourth-seeded Russian Elena Dementieva in the quarter-finals, before losing to Jankovia in the semi-finals. Davenport's third tournament was in Quebec City, Canada, defeating second-seeded Vera Zvonova in the semi-finals and Julia Vakulenko in the final. This was Davenport's 53rd career singles title and lifted her to number 73 in the WTA rankings. 2008, Davenport won the ASB Classic in Auckland, New Zealand, the first WTA Tour event of the year. Davenport defeated Aravan Reza in the final. This raised her ranking to world number 52. She was the only player in the WTA Top 100 that had fewer than 10 tournaments counting towards her world ranking. At the first Grand Slam tournament of the year, the Australian Open, Davenport lost in the second round to eventual champion Maria Sharapova, 1-6, 3-6. This was the first time that Davenport had lost to Sharapova in straight sets. On January 14, 2008, Davenport surpassed Steffi Graf in career prize money earned on the Women's Tour, garnering a total of $21,897,501. In March, Davenport won her second tournament of the year and 55th career singles title by beating Olga Gavitsova in the final of the region's Morgan Keegan Championships and the Cellular South Cup in Memphis, Tennessee. She tied Virginia Wade for 7th place on the list of most singles titles won during the Open era. Davenport also teamed with Lisa Raymond to win the doubles title. At the TIRI Pacific Life Open in Indian Wells, California, Davenport lost in the quarter-finals to Jelena Jankovia, 6-2, retired. She retired from the match because of a back injury sustained before the match started. At the TIRI Sony Ericsson Open in Key Biscayne, Florida, Davenport embarrassed world number 2 and second-seeded Ana Ivanovic in the third round, 6-4, 6-2, before losing her fourth-round match with Dinara Safina, 3-6, 4-6. In her first clay court tournament since 2005, Davenport reached the semi-finals of the Bausch & Lomb Championships in Amelia Island, Florida, where she defaulted her match with Sharapova before it began, due to illness. Citing undisclosed personal reasons, Davenport withdrew from the French Open 5 days before the tournament began. At Wimbledon, Davenport was seeded 25th, won her first-round match, and then withdrew from the tournament because of a right knee injury. On August 8, 2008, Davenport withdrew from the singles competition at the Olympic Games in Beijing because of a lingering knee injury. She and her partner, world number 1 doubles player Liesl Huber, lost in the women's doubles quarterfinals. At the US Open, Davenport was seeded 23rd and lost to 12th-seeded Marion Bartoli in the third round. Davenport was scheduled to play the Fortis Championships Luxembourg in October, but withdrew before the start of the tournament. 2009, Davenport announced her intention to play in the 2009 Australian Open in January, ending speculation that she would be retiring from the sport. However, she withdrew from the event when she learned that she was expecting her second child. It was announced on June 30, 2009 that Davenport had given birth to a baby girl. 2010, in her first tournament since the 2008 US Open, Davenport played mixed doubles at Wimbledon with Bob Bryan, where they received a wild card. They made it to the second round before falling to Daniel Nestor and Bethany Matk-Sands. Davenport also announced her intention to play doubles at 2 tournaments in the American hardcourt season. The first tournament was the women's doubles event at the 2010 Bank of the West Classic, where she won the title partnering Liesl Huber. She followed this with a 2010 Mercury Insurance Open, again with Huber. They lost in the quarterfinals to Bethany Matk-Sands and Yan Zhai, 2011. At the 2011 French Open she won the women's Legends doubles event with partner Martina Hingis. Davenport went on to win the Wimbledon Invitational doubles event, partnering once again with Hingis. World Team Tennis announced that Davenport would not be able to compete for the season because she was pregnant with her third child. Records: these records were attained in the Open era of tennis. Awards and accomplishments: Named in 1993 the Rookie of the Year by both Tennis Magazine and World Team Tennis. 1996 International Tennis Federation World Champion in Women's Doubles. 1998 ITF World Champion in Women's Singles and Doubles. 1998 Tennis Magazine Player of the Year. 1998 and 1999 Women's Tennis Association Player of the Year. Diamond ACES Award winner in 1998 and 1999. Named the U.S. Olympic Committee's Female Athlete of the Month for July 1999 after winning the women's doubles and singles at Wimbledon. Voted by journalists at the 2000 French Open as the winner of the Prix Orange, which goes to the player who has shone in the tennis world the international essence of fairness, kindness, availability, and friendliness. Re-elected to the WTA Player Council in 2002. Voted by the International Tennis Writers Association as a joint winner of the 2004 Women's Ambassador for Tennis Award. 2007 Women's Tennis Association Comeback Player of the Year. Career statistics. Grand Slam Tournament Finals, Singles, 7 Finals, Doubles, 13 Finals, see also. List of female tennis players, List of Wimbledon Ladies Singles Champions, List of Grand Slam Women's Singles Champions, references. External links, Lindsay Davenport at the Women's Tennis Association, Lindsay Davenport at the International Tennis Federation, Lindsay Davenport at the Fed Cup.